It's Doug Gottlieb Show here on Fox Sports Radio. There are certain things that are the gold standard. There are certain people that are the gold standard. The gold standard in being a football insider is Jay Glazer, and he's joining us now on the Doug Gottlieb Show on Fox Sports Radio. I say that because I mean it, because you are not one of these spitball, just coordinator sort of stuff. It's only things that matter, and it's usually a week or two before everybody else comes out with what matters.
And it's on Sundays, and that's where, look, I used to be, I was just telling somebody here, my first Super Bowl was here in New Orleans, the 96 Super Bowl, and I was beyond broke. I was making $9,000 a year, and the New York Post said, we'll send you down. No, not we'll send you down. If you get down there, we'll give you $250 for a story. And New York One TV said, if you can get down there, we'll let you do 3 stand-ups for $150 each. But we're not going to put you up to stay here or fly there or food or anything. And I was so broke, I didn't have money for food. I got myself down there on like these flight credits I had from agreeing to be bumped from other flights. I stayed on like some goth chicks' couches that I didn't even know. And I would eat it in this Radio Row area. And then I would go to parties to try and eat there. And the first party I ever went to was at the House of Blues here in New Orleans. Sugar Hill Gang performed, but it was Howie Long's party. And that's my brother now. So like, what a journey to go from making $9,000 a year to being part of the broadcast crew for the Super Bowl. And it's, man, I still wait to wake up in 5th grade and none of this stuff happened. I'm always, every single day of my life, I'm like, thank you, my best friend, God Almighty in heaven. I can't believe I'm here. But it's, it's that grind. And like you're saying about the insider, I was the first minute-by-minute breaking news guy in this country when that internet thing came out, which I think is going to take off. And it was me, Mort, John Clayton, and Lem Pasquarelli. That was it. It was us against each other.
Yes.
And Peter King wasn't breaking news, but he was, an insider too. And I did that freaking minute by minute, and then it became, okay, well, who could tweet fastest? Well, I didn't sign up for that. So now I make sure, and it was great, because Fox came to me and they're like, look, you're going to kill yourself doing it. Because also, like, ESPN has 100 people, NFL Network got 100 people. Fox is just me. And, they're like, as long as you come on Sundays, and you make sure you have better stuff than anybody on the planet, and you come out with stuff with less field, that's all we want. And that's what's great for me. You have to watch Fox NFL Sunday, because I'm going to tell you something every week that nobody knew, and like you're saying also, weeks earlier. And a lot of times I say stuff now, and people get outraged because it seems so outlandish. Like, a couple of years ago I said, Odell Beckham's going to get traded this offseason. People went crazy. I got so much hate because I reported what was going to happen way before it was going to happen, but I knew it was going to happen. But that's the whole point, is you put stuff out that the rest of the world doesn't know. And on Sundays, that's my pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Plus, also, I have an obligation to you guys, the Fox Sports family. I really, really look at it. Like, my teammates are everything to me. And I have an obligation to come out with better stuff than anybody else. I will never mail it in. All I got is grind to me,
Do I have to wait till Sunday to find out if Aaron Rodgers is going to play football next year?
I don't know the answer to that question yet.
Okay.
But even like, perfect example, last week, right? And that's the other thing too, my access, I'm very proud of. So I came on the NFC Championship game, and I directly talked to Aaron Glenn, said, we're not going to drag it out. I want to go meet with Aaron in person. We'll have an answer much sooner than later. I'm not going to drag this out, but I want to go meet him in person. And it was great. We were the only ones who had Aaron directly until Aaron Glenn, until he talked to the rest of the media like 3 days later, whatever it was. And that's my job. My job is to get direct information so you know what's going on.
You've been very upfront with battles with depression, with other things in your life.
Anxiety, ADHD, bipolar, you name it, I got it.
Right. Well, ADHD is something that I know I have.
Yep.
Son has it. And now as a college basketball coach, we talk to our players about it all the time, right? Because all those other things are a byproduct in many ways of ADHD. Right. What do you do about it? So I
love that you brought it up as a coach too, because I get brought in. It's funny, I started the first mixed martial arts training program for pro athletes in this country. And I used to get brought into teams to talk about violence and how to break people. And part of it was, like, our fighters and football players, if you were hurt and tired, you will never, ever, ever know. Our fighters cannot take a stool in between rounds. They got to march back and forth because we want to try and break you. I want somebody to sit there and go, what is wrong with that dude? And like you watch, like Andrew Whitworth, we had for years. Whit would not put his head in the huddle. He would dip his ear in and look to see on the other side who's gassing, who got their hands on their hips, and we go try and break that person. And You need that in a cage or a football field, a basketball court. That's what you need. But that same mindset, especially us men, gets people like me or Lane Johnson or Andrew Whitworth to crawl up in the freaking corner of our room in the fetal position crying out of nowhere one night, or just suffer in silence for all these years. And now I want guys to start leaning to each other. I want them to start, and I tell these teams, you probably don't think you got enough. Like NFL teams only have to have a therapist on site 3 days a week. That's it. When you got 15 strength coaches and trainers, it doesn't make any sense when everything starts in that 6 inches between your ears. I'm like, you may not think you got enough therapists, but you do. You got 53 sitting right next to you on either side. And the brotherhood that this is, I've gone from having friends to brothers now, then we could talk about it. The ADHD part, when I tell coaches, and look, God gave me the ability to communicate. So I try and describe depression, anxiety. I didn't know I had anxiety until I heard Terry Bradshaw talk about it 12 years after my first anxiety attack, when I thought I was having a heart attack. I was getting my heart checked out for 12 years. And TB was talking about it in our green room. I'm like, oh, wait, say that again? Oh my God, that's what I have, right? I didn't know. So at ADHD, when I go, I was one of the first adults diagnosed with ADHD on the East Coast of America, Princeton University, in 1989. And what I try and tell coaches and anybody, they told me I had a learning disability. I don't got a learning disability. I just don't learn the way you teach, right? And the way I describe ADHD, it's like you're drowning. If I'm sitting in something that I cannot pay attention, it's like I'm drowning. And my only breath of fresh air is to disrupt the class, is to start talking, is to start fidgeting, start doing stuff. You think I want to get grounded every freaking week of my life? No. And I tell football coaches, your players are unable. They're not capable. You think they want to get fined all the time? No. You have to figure out a way to coach better, to get them to understand what's going to resonate with them more now. But sure, because I've started to talk about all these, and also on the other end, I've also tried to figure out where do these issues help me. So I try and weaponize my ADHD, my depression, my anxiety. Bipolar, I'm still trying to figure that one out. But where they've helped me, and if you can weaponize them, then you're not ashamed by them.
Sure.
So because I talk about it now, I found a drug called Qelbree, which is a non-stimulant. And I got put on stimulants in '89, and at least the way they work with me in my depression, it was not good, man. I pushed away a lot of good people in my life, had a lot of violent outbursts. So I stopped really with everything. And because I've opened up now, I've tried to learn different things. Qelbree is the first pharmaceutical I've had that has helped me, and I actually take it at night. So you can never dream about the other ADHD drugs, right? They're uppers.
Yeah, you can't take it at night
this
because
I take
you can't
at night.
sleep.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the wild thing. My wife, Rosie, we had to evacuate Malibu recently, and we went outside. Our cell service cut, so we didn't know everything was burned down around us until we went outside to walk our dog and ran out, didn't grab it, the Qelbree, and we didn't get back in our house for a little while. And she was like, "Hey, you're all over the map. Like, you need this." I'm like, "I know I need it, but we just grabbed whatever, our dog, and got out of there." So it's been a game changer for me. It really has been. And there's no shame in it.
That's Supernus.
It's called Qelbree.
Qelbree?
Qelbree. QELBREE. It has been. Look, I'm doing a 9-hour media tour today, which is not ADHD conducive, so I couldn't do this without the Qelbree.
Like we said, you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Andy Reid's been through a lot. Like one of the things that sometimes we cover, sometimes we brush over, was with the stuff with his boys. Obviously, at the end in Philly and the start in Kansas City could not have been easy. But he is so beloved by the football
He's your favorite
community.
uncle you don't want to disappoint. And I also Andy and I are really close. And one of the conversations I did have with him, I was not raised to do the bad things I did growing up. I thought it was cool to be a jagoff and to do these things I just had no business. I think if you're a great parent, you got a 50-50 shot. If you're a bad parent, you got a 10% shot. I mean, that's just the way I view it. And I literally just told him this all day. And I never really told anybody some of the really heinous stuff that me and my crew did growing up, because I'm ashamed. But we connected on it. That's what's great about this football community. Is even though there's a bunch of badass, and the whole thing I said, hey, you don't show it. We actually do. We kind of lean in and get vulnerable with each other. And I'm trying to lead the way with the vulnerability. You're not questioning my manhood, so I'll cry on the drop of a dime, I'm good.
There's a lot of talk, and this is more football-y than personally. There's a lot of talk, running backs, the big discussion last offseason. And Saquon stayed a year with the Giants, and now he's with the Eagles. And I made the case this year that it's literally the greatest thing ever for his career. Now, he leaves behind...
With that offensive line, absolutely, yeah.
But he leaves behind what Strahan has. Now, Strahan obviously played on better teams, but when you're in New York and you're Mr. Giant, the rest of your life is pretty damn good when you're a really smart, good dude, which he is and Strahan is, right? Okay, so you leave behind that to go to Philadelphia, which is strictly a football decision. But can you think of a football decision being any better than the one that he landed?
Absolutely not. It's interesting because as I've done this, Radio Road today, this question's come up a lot. Has Saquon and Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs reset the running back market? And it should get valued more, but the free agents who are out there ain't like these guys. They're not physical, durable, difference makers in that way. I do think the position will get more valued, but I don't know if it's going to equal out where guys get paid, but they should get paid. I mean, they really get beat up more than anybody else. Even if you're not running the ball, you're blocking. You're taking on linemen. You're taking on. We just saw James Harrison over here, still huge. You're trying to block James Harrison. Like it is not good for your health to be running back.
When you're on the set this Sunday, it's a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And do you get a moment to realize that you went from sleeping on some goth chick's couch to being the person that everybody wants the information on what's going to happen next in the league over?
Every single show I'm ever on, right before we walk out, I take a little spot. And I actually tell coaches to do the same thing. Go find a little spot from their first head coach job on. And I literally look up to God and I go, thank you, my best friend, God Almighty. I cannot believe I'm here. And just living in gratitude is way better than living in the misery to get here, the grind. It's a lot, man. It's lonely. It's hard. It's like trying to be great is lonely. And trying to make your dream come true is lonely, and there's a lot of being rejected, and it's not what people think. You can pay your bills better, but man, it's a lot to go through. And if I didn't have my mental health issues, I probably would have quit a long time ago because I felt so worthless. Every time I got turned down for a job, I'm like, sure, of course. I went 11 years without getting a full-time job. Are you kidding me? I was like, yeah, of course I'm turned down. I should be turned down. So, yeah, I will. I'll probably do it 3 or 4 times this week. I'll do it during the game. I'm a big God guy. I talk to God all the time about this, like my best friend. I don't ask God to get me a job, make me rich. I just say, hey, just please I got it. I'll handle it. Just when I get knocked down, pick me up, brush me off, and let's keep walking. Let's walk together. So, yeah, I really appreciate it, man.
It's been awesome. One more time, the drug's name?
Qelbree. Q-E. No, you. Q-E-L-B-R-E-E. Like I said, I take it at night. Totally focuses me. And again, thank God I started talking about it because I wouldn't have, if I wasn't so vocal, I wouldn't have known that these things would have been brought to me. So you're here at home, talk about it, open up. These teammates of mine, these people, I came over here today, I FaceTimed Michael Phelps because I was nervous of how I would be with my anxiety when I get in situations like this. And boom, right away, this is what we do with each other. Michael Phelps. And you're not a bother to anybody. It gets you, people went from friends to brothers. And it really, I think the way the world is now too, where social media is just kicking your butt all the time and we're comparing ourselves to everybody else's freaking filtered highlights each day. We need these connections more than ever, and people want to be there for you.
I appreciate it. I needed this message myself. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you, man.